Do not buy an expensive cold plunge until you watch this. This is the SunHome Cold Plunge Pro. And in this video, I'm doing a follow-up review because I've had this since July, which means I've had this for 8 months of nonstop use. And I think I have a lot of insights that might help you determine if this is a cold plunge you should consider for yourself or not. Let's jump in. The first thing I want to talk about is the operation. There's really not a simpler operation. Over here, you have this little touchscreen pad. It's very pretty. You can control everything from right here. You can also control it all from an app. You can turn everything on, but I like to use this. It's super simple. You just turn the power on, leave it on. It goes through some cycles where it creates, depending on the temperature you set. I have mine set at 30 degrees. So it goes through a cycle where it actually creates ice on the walls, all 4 of the walls, and the floor. Once the ice is created and it reaches that set temperature for enough time, it knows when it needs to kick on, and it will actually defrost the ice off the walls and the floor. So it's not like when you get into other options that might have ice where the ice is just on the walls and the floor. The ice actually pops off the walls and the floor and it floats. And it's almost like they have a design pattern in the coils inside the walls where the ice is thick in one spot, thin in one spot. Because once it floats, it typically cracks into these really nice, like longer strips of ice.
This is crazy.
Which gives it a really cool look. And it gives it a really cool experience because you're cold plunging in ice. If getting into ice isn't what you're looking for, but you want something robust like this, you can still set the temperature to any cold plunge temperature you want. I've actually had this set at 55 degrees. We've turned it down to 40. I currently have it at 30 because I really like that feeling of having ice, and it's really cool to have your friends come over, have them jump in this and feel that real shock of getting into icy cold water. I want to talk about maintenance for a second, because if you're someone like me who likes to have nice things, but you don't like to spend a ton of time having to maintain them, this is a really good option. I've literally haven't touched the water. I haven't put a chemical in this water. I haven't filled the water up or changed the water since I placed it here. And I want to say that was about 5 or 6 months ago is when I moved everything right here. That was the last time I've done anything with the water. Because of the filtration in this, I'm going to open it up and show you. My water is still very, very clear and very, very blue. And if you've watched a lot of my videos, you know that some of my cold plunges, the water is not blue at all. It's very yellow and tannic. I live in Florida and I'm on well water, so my water isn't very pretty. The water in this has become pretty because of the ozone, the UV, and the filtration system it has. Wrapping all of that up, if you're looking for something that has really great filtration, this does have really great filtration. And the maintenance has been an absolute breeze. And then the last thing I want to talk about over here is you do have a light. You can turn the light on here. It puts a really nice contrast light here on the bottom. It's hard to see during the day, but it has an LED strip that goes around the entire thing. It just looks really, really pretty. There's also a light that's inside and it goes through an array of different colors, and it makes for a really cool experience, especially at night. I have free-range chickens that are always in my videos, and my dog. So if you see them or hear them, I'm sorry. Now, in the spirit of the appearance, I do want to measure it again just to go over the measurements so you can see I'm a 6'1" tall guy. It's pretty large. I do like that the entire outside is made out of steel. It's solid. Like, it's not like a flimsy steel or anything like that. And it's powder coated black. Looks really nice. Holds up against the elements really, really nice. And then the top is an insulated lid that has these skirts you see coming down here. What these skirts are designed to do, and it does take a little bit of maneuvering when you're putting it on and taking it off, because it creates a little bit of a tight seal on the sides here. That helps to keep frogs, yes, frogs, bugs, and fallout from trees if you have yours outside from getting into your cold plunge. The cool thing too is really like only this side is the tub. Over here is where all the components are. We'll open this up in a second and talk about that, but it's all in one. Everything is built inside here. So there's no external chillers or pumps or filters or pipes. The back side is just as beautiful as the front side. I could literally have, I actually thought about getting another one of these and putting 2 of them or even 3 of them and placing them long ways here in front of the Luminar 5 sauna, which is also a sauna by SunHome. I have a full review on. Definitely recommend checking that out as well if you're interested in getting a sauna. It's a full spectrum infrared, but that's for another video. Because this side over here is like a very solid platform, and I'll take the lid off and show you. It's a very solid platform where you could do breath work if you're into breath work, but it's also a really nice like table. You can place stuff, your drinks, if you're working out. I have mine out here by the gym. It's a cool spot to put that if you take the lid completely off. It is cut down the middle here, so when you are lifting it, you can just take half of it off and you can cold plunge without having to take the entire lid off. But the lid is fully insulated. That also helps cut down on cost of electricity. This is one of the most efficient cold plunges I have. It's almost too efficient. The last time I tested this thing, it was pulling under 2 amps. And that was while things were actually happening. So once it creates ice, I didn't test it during that phase, but once it creates ice, and it's still efficient during that time, I didn't notice any spike in my electricity bill. Once it's done creating ice for the first time and it keeps going through its cycles, it does a really great job keeping the energy down, and it's insanely quiet. Like it's on right now, but it's insanely quiet. So also on the lid, I haven't actually used this, but there is a child safety latch. All you have to do is screw it into this, or you can use some adhesive tape or whatever you feel comfortable with. I don't use them. My kids are old enough now, and like it's not the easiest thing to open up, but you do have that option if that's something you want. Now let's measure it real quick, and we're gonna keep talking about it. So width-wise, you need 33.5 inches. That's it. Once again, there's nothing along this side. You do have the plug that comes out there, and this is the side that is gonna have the drain if you do need to drain your water out. There's also a hose spigot. If you need to put a hose to that, run the hose off somewhere, you can do that. Very easy to drain, very easy to maintain. Once again, I haven't had to do anything to maintain this thing. So 33.5 inches wide, 79 inches long. And once again, that's all you need. So just so you know, 79 inches is 6 feet, 7 inches. That's how long this thing is. And then from the ground, it does have these massive coasters, I forget what they're called, but basically the wheels that help you move it because it's very heavy. It has 6 of them holding up this entire thing. So it's a super solid, way overbuilt setup that I don't think you'll have any issues with at all, keeping outside, keeping in a covered patio, or even keeping it inside. They also have a water catching platform that you can buy if you are gonna have this somewhere inside that you don't want water to get on the floor. It catches the water, has a drain tube. It's really cool. I don't use it. I have one, but I don't use it because mine's outside and I need the space for my gym. And then the height is 34 inches off the ground to the top of the actual cold plunge. It also comes with a stool that's made out of the same material, so it levels you up to where it's even easier to get into this thing. I'm tall, so I don't have that stool, and once again, I like having the room, but it's cool that you get a stool, you can get that water platform, the water catching platform, you get an insulated lid, and you get a very robust system. So that's the appearance on the outside. For me personally, I like black, like all my equipment out here is black in my gym, and I have a full gym tour if you're interested in seeing my outdoor gym here in Florida. But I love the black. I love that it has the SunHome logo built right in here, which also doubles as a vent because that's where all the components are. So that allows airflow to go through it, and it's cool branding. I think they did a killer job on the looks of this thing. And that's just the outside. Now let's talk about the inside. So the outside is steel, powder coated black. The inside is stainless steel. And it's such a cool experience. I think they had to go stainless steel, obviously, to have the ice form. And you can see right now, I didn't plan this perfectly where the ice was floating. Right now it's in the process of creating ice on the walls, which is really cool. And once it's defrosting, which it looks like it's starting to defrost because you can see a little bit of gapping, it's a fun process to see. The ice will start to pop off and then float and then crack, and it's really cool. This is remnants of the last cycle, so that's kind of what the ice looks like. It cuts off into these little sheets of ice, and it's cool. Like, I wouldn't recommend eating the ice, but my kids come out here and that's the first thing they do is put the ice in their mouth, which isn't the greatest idea. But look at this water. Like, this is pretty clear by my standards. It's like a bluish color, and I've never put a single chemical in it. So I've been very impressed with how easy it's been to maintain this and keep my water sanitary. But let's talk about the measurements inside real quick, because that's where you're gonna be going. And you're gonna look at this real quick and probably think, well, that seems like an odd size. I want it to be longer so I can lounge, or I want it to be taller so I can get in. I've realized that this form factor is one of my personal favorites because you get into almost like a reclined active pose. You're not laying all the way out with your legs because it's very hard to get comfortable when you're laying all the way out, like perfectly straight. I like having something I can plant my feet into. It keeps me in that active pose, and I'm a little bit taller, so it's easier for me to do that. When my wife or anybody shorter gets into this, it's also just as easy to manipulate your body to get in the position that you want. It's a pretty deep one. So let's go ahead and measure it. Width-wise on the inside, this is where you're gonna be going, is almost 29 inches. This is one of the wider cold plunges I have as far as the inside goes. It is 28.75 is what I'm getting on this tape measure. That's width, so that's where your shoulders go. As far as the total length, you're looking at 47 inches. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this side does kind of taper in a little bit. I'm not gonna be able to measure the end. Like, when I say a little bit, I'm just gonna go ahead and estimate. It looks like about 4 inches it tapers from the top to the bottom. There's a whole sheet of ice on there too, so it might not be that much, but it's not enough to notice. I don't notice it at all, and it's not like it's taking up a bunch of your space. Now let's measure to the bottom. Once again, there's ice down there currently forming, but we're looking at 27.5 inches deep, which is a pretty deep cold plunge when it comes to comparing that to the other ones that I've reviewed. So you've got a lot of space in here, but what's cool about it too is it's not a massive volume of water. Like imagine if this came all the way out to here and that was all that water. That's a lot of water you have to cool. That's a lot of water you have to keep clean, and it's honestly a waste of a lot of water. I think that's one of the reasons I've really started to like this style of cold plunge a lot. It doesn't waste a ton of space and water. They are able to fit all the components back here, and it makes for a really clean and really enjoyable cold plunging experience. And then like I mentioned earlier, you have the light. I turned the lights on so you can kind of see the light rolling through there. But man, I'm impressed. The water is really clean. The water's really cold. It's currently 30 degrees. That's cold water, just so you know. You don't have to do water that cold, but if you're wanting it, this is one of the best on the market I've seen that can create cold water that clean, that efficient, and that easy to move around. Now let's pop over here on the, I would call this the backside or the side, depending on how you have it set up. This is where everything is. You see these holes right here, that's ventilation. The holes on the front, that's ventilation. That allows really, really solid airflow to go through this thing, which is really necessary when it comes to your chilling components. I have my cord running over here into an extension cord. A lot of people ask, can you hook a cold plunge up to with an extension cord? I say, this isn't advice from companies, this is me, and I'm not giving you advice, but this is what I do. I've been using the right amperage extension cord, which I look for 12 to 15 amp extension cord. These things all say they require 15 to 20 amps. This thing's never pulled over 10 amps that I've measured, and I measured it when the thing was first started on. I didn't measure it the whole time, I should have. Maybe I'll do another test if that's something you guys are really interested in seeing. I get like one question a month from people asking me about energy and efficiency, so I don't really spend a ton of time researching that. All I know is if this is the first David Moss Jr. YouTube video you've watched, subscribe to my channel and go check out some of my other videos. I review a lot of cold plunges. I review a lot of saunas. I have 4 outdoor massive saunas, like big family style saunas. I have a few sweat tents, a few portable saunas, and then I have a few indoor infrared saunas that I'm reviewing too. All of them are currently plugged in. My power bill hasn't really fluctuated to where it's noticeable. I also have 4 kids and life. So people ask me all the time, what's your power bill? It's average. It is what it is. Like, it's not crazy. It's not what you would think. I can tell you I used to mine crypto. That noticeably increased my power bill, like to the point where I don't do it anymore. Yeah, so this is good. Little talk about efficiency. Now let's talk about the components. So this is the backside here. You literally open these 2 latches. This folds out. You can literally take it off. Inside here, I can't explain all the components in here, but I can tell you this because it's something you're gonna wanna know. And that is right here is your breaker. So if your breaker ever trips, if the power ever trips to the point where this trips and it's an issue, this is where you're going to turn that power back on. But behind this whole thing is actually on a swivel. I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. I think you might wanna see this. There's 4 little screws that literally you just take off by hand. This is the screw, it's just a little hand screw. Electric shock risk. If I get shocked while on video, it's on me, not on them. It literally says danger shock risk. So you swing this thing open, and inside there is all the components. You can see my 2 filters, which I'm probably due to change. I haven't changed them since I set this up, and it's been over 6 months. So the bottom is open, so squirrels and stuff can build nests in these. Just keep that in mind. Like, these are things, this whole video is just me sharing my experience of this and can hopefully help you decide if this is something you should consider for yourself or not. It is an expensive cold plunge. It's around the $10,000 range. They have a new commercial model coming out that's a little more money, and that's a good investment. But if I was buying one cold plunge and I wanted it to make ice and something I didn't have to maintain a lot, and I had a permanent spot for it that I knew what I wanted, this would be high up on my consideration list. Probably number 1 on my consideration list of all the cold plunges that I've been in and reviewed. So inside here, once again, this is where you can shut off the water if you need to when transporting. You can change the 2 filters. There's a pre-filter, and then there's the actual 20 micron filter. So that pre-filter you're gonna wanna change. If there's ever a lack in flow, like if the water stops flowing, chances are the pre-filter needs to be sprayed out. So all you do is you turn everything off, you shut off the water valve in there, you're gonna unscrew that small filter, that's the pre-filter, and then just take it out and hose it out. Put it back in, you don't have to replace it. The other filter, the smaller one, that's a 20 micron filter. That's gonna catch a lot of the additional debris that makes it through the strainer or the pre-filter, and then you're gonna wanna change that out. I think it's recommended to change out every month or so. I get away with a lot longer because I make sure everyone sprays off before they get into their cold plunge, and it's mainly me using this one. So it definitely looks like it's due for a change. Then it goes through ozone and UV light. So there's a lot of filtration in this, and if you have no idea what any of that means, I have videos on it. This is a really good system. And for other people out there who are thinking about building a cold plunge, like UV light and ozone, it's kind of all you need. A sediment filter, something to strain the hairs and stuff out. That's pretty much it. You don't need a bunch of chemicals. I prefer no chemicals in my cold plunge, and that's one of the reasons I really like this one. Now let's swing this back on, screw these little guys back in, and once that's screwed on, you just put your cover back in here. All right, so we talked about the appearance. We talked about the efficiency and the maintenance. We talked about the components. Now I wanna just recap it and then talk about who I really think this might be for. If you're looking for something that is robust, that's overbuilt, that is a statement piece, that looks beautiful at night, and that can handle a palm tree falling down on it, mine did. This is it. If you want something that can create ice, I mean literally floating ice, and do it consistently and do it efficiently and do it easily.
That ice?
This is it. If you want something that doesn't just create ice, but can bring that temperature up into the 50s and even the 60s for those of you who want to start high and work your way down, well, this works for that too. And I can tell you as somebody who has reviewed, I think over 30 different cold plunges now. Yeah, over 30. This is one of the easiest cold plunges for me to recommend to people who are looking for those things. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. You need some space. You need 6.5 feet in length, and you need about 3 feet in width. That's the space you need. You need a level ground, and you need something that can hold some weight. This thing weighs over 400 pounds by itself. Once you put this water in it, that water weighs about 800 pounds. And then once you add a person to it, you need a space that can handle 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, which are most spaces, but I think it's important for me to share that. You are gonna have 6 pressure points. You have 6 casters at the bottom, which are where all the weight is sitting, and you can lock those with a nice big rubber piece that disperses a lot of that weight. I say that because if you're putting this on something that's not concrete or enforced for this, I built this deck for these items, there's a good chance that over time it could bust through some wood if the wood was maybe rotted a little bit or just a little bit weak. This is one of the heaviest cold plunges that I own. If my plan was to put this on my top deck, I don't know if I would have chose this because it is pretty heavy and it's not the easiest to move because of the weight. You definitely need, like, when I got this back here, it's easy, it's all one level, so I was able to just roll it back here. Had a friend kind of help me lift it up over the 1-inch gap of the deck because it's kind of heavy and it's just awkward, like it's just a big thing. Getting it upstairs would definitely suck. Doesn't mean it's impossible, just means it would be a little tough. And I probably wouldn't do it personally if I was putting it on the top deck. But it's perfect for out here. It has been outside its entire life. It still looks brand new and beautiful. It still operates beautifully. As you can see, I need to change the filter. I'm probably gonna do that later today, but it's been a very easy cold plunge to maintain. I don't have to think about this one. It's always on. It always stays on. Even when my power does trip, somehow this one always kicks back on and stays on. I don't know if that's gonna work for everybody. Everyone's homes are set up differently, but that's how it's working for me, and I'm a huge fan. Because that is probably the #1 frustration for me as someone who reviews a lot of these products, is when your power trips, does your cold plunge trip too, and does it stay off? Because if that happens, that sucks. We're talking hours or even days of water sitting stagnant, not being chilled, and a lot of the setups aren't as insulated. This is fully insulated. This entire thing is insulated inside. So not only is it creating ice and has the capabilities of creating ice, but it's also fully insulated. So when it's through its process, it doesn't have to fight very hard to keep the ice. This is all ice just sitting here from the previous cycle where it created ice, defrosted it, floated, started circulating in the water, sending it through the filter, sending it through the ozone, keeping my water nice and clean, and then starting the process over again. I don't know the exact timeline of that. I didn't invent this product. I don't know all that, but I do know it works, and it works really well. So hey, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I still stand behind SunHome saunas. I really enjoy recommending this to people. I love getting pictures from people and text messages and messages from people who've got it and are enjoying it. I love seeing other people in the space like Thomas DeLauer and some of the other big names get SunHome sauna cold plunges, especially the Cold Plunge Pro. They also have an inexpensive model that's equally as impressive. It's an inflatable. It has their all-in-one chiller, and I can tell you it has been super impressive and can also create ice. So if you're considering getting the Cold Plunge Pro by SunHome, I can say you'll be happy you did. But if you don't want to spend that money and you want to get something that's equally as impressive, but a little bit lower on the investment side, check out the other options that they have. They also have red light therapy devices, incredible saunas. SunHome has been a very fun company to get the opportunity to work with. I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to review the products that they have sent me. And hopefully I answered some of your questions. If you have any questions I didn't answer, pop them down in the comments below or reach out to me on Instagram. I'll pop it up here. It's DMosh Jr. on Instagram. I also have a newsletter where I go over a lot of the newer stuff that I haven't made videos on yet. And that's been taking off. It's been really cool to see how many people actually are subscribing to my newsletter. So I have a link down to that. It's free. I don't ask for money to have a paid subscription. It's fun. Like, it's fun. I have all this product. I get the opportunity to see and test all these products. I might as well share what I'm seeing with you. So subscribe to the newsletter, follow me on Instagram, subscribe to this YouTube channel. That would be great. Or just get value out of these videos and share them with friends. Like, even if you can't like, comment, subscribe because you don't have a YouTube account, which I realize that's quite a few of my viewers come from people who don't have YouTube accounts. So if you're one of those people, you can still subscribe to a newsletter if you have an email. You can still follow on Instagram, because who doesn't have an Instagram these days? And you can still share this video with your friends. Hey, I appreciate you so much for watching. If you want to get any of the SunHome products, I do have links and discount codes down in the description below to make it easier for you, and you can do a little bit more research there. I'm also going to have a couple videos pop up at the end of this video. They'll pop up on screen. Click one of those if you need a little bit more information on this. I'm going to post my full review of this product when I first set it up, so you can see the entire unboxing process. And then I'm also going to post the review of their entry-level cold plunge option. If neither of those videos interest you and you want some information on their sauna, I do have a full SunHome playlist where I have a lot of different information that might help guide you on if the SunHome product is a product you should consider or not. This isn't for everybody, but it might be for you. So do your research, make the best decision for yourself, and have a great day, my friends. I'll see you on the next video. God bless. And hey, those videos are going to pop up right here. So just go ahead and click on one of those videos next. See you guys. Love you guys.